When you think of Grace Jarrod, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? If you followed the WPL last year, you'd be forgiven if you went straight to burgers. Last season we learnt that Harris loves them, and she's been taking a big bite out of bowlers in the last 13 months. So if you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a huge discount off your Nord VPN plan, plus 4 additional months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a cricketer protects its nether region with NordVPN today. Today we're going to look at the WPL and we're going to look at Harris in the power play. She's striking at 145 and she's been pretty consistent at that too. She's the quickest scorer in that phase by a distance, and all of her runs in this area have come in franchise cricket, largely for the Brisbane Heat, where she opens the batting. The other batters we could consider elite are Sophie Devine, Shafali Verma, Danny Wyatt and Alyssa Healy, with Devine being the most consistent. Chamari Adipatu and Elise Perry are two worth having a look at because both have been incredibly consistent and scored at a decent click of recent times. Of the 8 batters who scored at a strike rate of 120 plus, 5 are from the UP Warriors. Unfortunately for them, all 5 are overseas options, so it's likely that at least 2 are going to miss out on regular game time. The Gujarat Giants are the only team with no one striking at over 115 in the power play, so that's something to watch in a different way. Or something not to watch? And if you're wondering why you can't see Nat Sciver-Brunt on this graph, well, it's because her numbers completely ruin the look of it. So we actually had to filter her out originally. Her consistency has been incredible, but her strike rate of 102 is suboptimal, but she makes up for it. In fact, Sciver-Brunt and Hayley Matthews are real weapons in the middle overs, striking at over 140. Throw in the fact that they can both bowl around their full quota, it's basically like Mumbai Indians have 2 extra players in their team. Elise Perry's evolution over the last couple of years has been incredible. She was actually dropped from the Australian T20 side for much of 2022, and she's transformed her game and evolved with the times. And she might be required to do some heavy lifting for RCB this year, with Heather Knight pulling out of the tournament. Devine will play the role of the aggressor while also scoring at a fairly consistent rate. Mandana has not been in great form, but you'd think her performance in the last season of WPL was an exception and not the norm. The middle over phase is also when we see the Delhi Capitals step up. Shafali Verma remains elite, scoring at nearly 150, while Alice Capsey, Meg Lanning and the new recruit Annabelle Sutherland are all capable of kicking off in the middle as well. Marizanne Kapp doesn't have a great strike rate, but it should be interesting to see how she does away from South Africa, a team that she has to bat, bowl, field and do everything else for. Lanning obviously retired from international cricket since the last WPL, but she's been killing it for the WNCL for Victoria. And when it comes down to it, Victorian form is the only one I actually truly respect. Talking about the Vics, Sutherland is coming off a test double 100, while Cap also scored some incredible runs against Australia. So it would seem that form is not a massive issue for that team. Phoebe Litchfield picks up the pace in the middle, and Beth Mooney has proved to be the glue that holds this team together. Wolfart is more of a classical anchor style batter, so whether all 3 play will be quite interesting. And it might come down to whether one of Wyatt or Atapatu open the batting with Healing. Even though Atapatu has been in outstanding form recently, Wyatt has the best strike rate in this phase, and it's not even close. And of course, Grace Harris is once again among the top when it comes to striking, only the second batter over 150. But if you think that's incredible, she's also untouchable in the death overs. Harris is probably the most explosive batter at the moment, but unfortunately, she doesn't always get a go to do that in international cricket. But she also gives the Warriors incredible flexibility with their batting lineup. They can do what the Heat did with her and push her up the order with Alyssa Healy, or they can use her as a finisher like Australia does. Either way, you are guaranteed she's going to score quick. Another player who gives her team incredible flexibility is Phoebe Litchfield, a top order player in her domestic career. Litchfield just came into the middle order for Australia and also dominated. The Giants already have Beth Mooney and Laura Wolfart to open, so Litchfield might actually have to play the finisher role for them. She's very different from Harris. Definitely not a batter you describe as a basher, but she's found a way to be successful at the death. Sophie Devine is excellent at the top of the order, but if she lands at the death, then things go very badly for the bowling side. RCB do seem to have a lot of their bases covered, despite losing Heather Knight, with Risha Ghosh and new recruit Georgie Wareham, and of course Elise Perry striking at 175 plus. Sorry for the laugh, but that does sound ridiculous when you say it out loud. And you cannot do a piece on batting without talking about Beth Mooney. She is the definition of exactly how you want an anchor to work for Gujarat. She doesn't start at breakneck speed, but once she settles in, she can get quick runs. But the big thing with her is she does not ever seem to go out. Let's move on to the bowlers. Hayley Matthews has the most wickets in all franchise T20s since the start of January 2023. So that means that she is the second highest run scorer and the highest wicket taker in that time. Chamari Atapato is fourth on the run getters list and also makes it to the top 20 wicket takers. But clearly Sophie Eccleston is the number one white ball bowler in the game, despite the fact that a shoulder injury kept her out for some time. Keep her away from the new ball and she is a problem for everyone. Then there's Cap, who has taken twice as many power play wickets as the rest of the Delhi Capitals combined. So how do these teams stack up with the ball? Well, Cap possesses the ability to move it both ways and it's quick, and she is on another level in terms of volumes of wickets, and so she'll most likely be paired with the young Indian sensation Titus Sadhu, who has taken 7 wickets at just over 10 runs apiece so far. They can also use the services of Shikhar Pandey, who bowled well in the power play in the WPL, but doesn't play much international cricket anymore. They also have Jess Jonathan and Annabelle Sutherland. New Zealand's Leah Tahuhu brings with her a wealth of experience for the Gujarat Giants, who don't really have a particularly strong new ball lineup, because they released Kim Garth. Scotland's Catherine Bryce has a solid record, but it is worth noting that she's not yet played against a lot of the top teams in international cricket. Gardner went at over 10 runs and over in the WPL, but she brought that economy back down to under 8 in the Women's Big Bash. However, it is clearly not her best phase in the game. In the last IPL season, Mumbai used all 4 of Nat Sivabrunt, Izzy Wong, Saika Ishak and Hayley Matthews when the field restrictions were on, and they had a pretty successful run. They've also signed Shabnim Ismail, so add pace to all of that. Raniko Singh goes at less than a run a ball and she can move it both ways. Kate Cross hasn't been great in the power play over the last 13 months, but was pretty good before that. And they also have the services of the all-round duo of Sophie Devine and Elise Perry. The real question, of course, is how they fit all these players in. Not only is Atupatu one of the top batters, her off-spin also makes a strong case for her to be included in, well, any 11. Deepti Sharma can bowl off-spin with the new ball and run batters out at the non-strikers end, making her an endless threat. There's one player they probably need more wickets from. Rajeshwari Gaikwad and also maybe Anjali Savani, certainly early on. Grace Harris is not here because she has basically bowled no overs, but she's another option for them. In the middle, Jonathan and Sutherland are the Capitals' best options to take wickets, while Pandey and Cap can keep things quite tight. Radha Yadav is still not picking up wickets, but she has an economy of less than 7. And you can see that Gardner completely holds up in the middle phase. Sneh Runner is not taking wickets and also their most expensive option. The Giants are just going to hope that she comes good, and they are taking a couple of gambles on Bryce and Tahuha in their first WPL seasons. How about this? Not one of the Mumbai bowlers goes at more than 8 runs per over or averages 20 plus, including their all-around options. Ishak was the find of the tournament last season, and part of what made her successful was her ability to attack the stumps. Amelia Kerr could end up making a strong case for being one of the most impactful bowlers in this phase of the game. Matthews continues to be brilliant as well. RCB should not use Ronica in this phase. Wareham and Molyneux are good picks. However, Molyneux has actually not played a lot of T20 cricket recently. They will likely have an overseas spinner to complement Shreyanka Patel. Wareham makes a strong case for that with their hitting ability. Perry is crucial as their seam option here because Devine goes for a few runs, and they might use Cross as well. Eccleston is the best bowler in the middle overs, and not only is she accurate, but she can also turn the ball. Adapatu takes wickets and doesn't go for many either. The Indian duo of Deepti and Gaikwad also do a good job in this section, and it's quite clear that they're going to rely on a lot of spin in here. It's worth mentioning the left-arm spinner Guha Sultana here, who last played a T20 for India in 2014, and is the only other Indian player here to have debuted before 2010 other than Harmanpreet Kaur. At the death, Jess Jonathan is just a specialist. Her economy has been slightly higher recently, and she's notably not been part of the Australian side in that most recent series against South Africa. Capsey is another spinner who has experience of bowling in these final overs. Sutherland is the only bowler who goes at less than 9 runs per over. Cap has a brilliant Yorker, but her numbers at the death haven't been all that flattering recently. Certainly not by her standards. Bryce's numbers look amazing, but as we said earlier, she's a bit of an unknown quality at this level. Gardner has been pretty solid at the death and is nailed on to make the 11, so she'll be more of a straightforward option for Beth Mooney. Mumbai have all their bases covered in the death overs. Are we seeing a trend here from the defending champs? None of their bowlers concede more than 9 runs per over, and only Matthews is above 8. They have a seamer, an offie, and a leggy among their bowling options that delivered at least 60 balls in the death last time. RCB will rely on the spin duo of Patel and Wareham to close out games for them. De Klerk might also be a handy option if she's playing in the 11, but she has got to work on her slower balls. Eccleston is by far the best death bowler in this time period. This could be that a lot of the other spinners who bowl in this period bowl with a very low arm action, whereas she actually gets a little bit more revs on the ball with a higher arm action, which means when you play cross-bat shots, you're likely to hit the ball up in the air or just miss it. However, Adipatu and Deepti also do a decent job in the crunch overs, so it would be interesting to see their approach with the ball in this phase. They might go for only spinners. And obviously we've gone through all this phase-wise for batting and for bowling, but that does leave us with a couple of all-rounders, right? Matthews and Adipatu not only have huge counting stats, but they're also very impactful in multiple phases of the game on both sides of the ball. Essentially, if you look at the Botham-Pringle continuum that I'm always talking about, both of these players are much more down near that Botham end, meaning that they're turning their side of 11 players into 12. And that's pretty incredible when you consider that Adipatu wasn't actually bought at the auction, she's a replacement player, and Matthews was almost passed on as well. And maybe that just tells us that when it comes down to it, still not enough details are available for each player, and that this entire system is still incredibly immature. And none of that is a dig at Grace Harris enjoying burgers. A lot of people complain that I'm not a former cricketer, and so that I don't really know the game. Well, you know what they can't claim? That I don't know desks. I've been using desks for years. I'm a collector of desks, old and new, and I'm sitting on a new one right now. I'm the Don Bradman of sitting at desks. So when I tell you that the E7 Pro next generation height adjustable desk from FlexiSpot is legit, this is like Michael Jordan talking to you about sneakers. This desk holds 160 kilograms. It is as stable as anything I've ever seen, and it has under-desk cable management. But really, the main skill here is that this desk rises and falls at the push of a button, and it moves super quick. And it has so many settings that remember your favorite heights. It really does it all. And I could not recommend the E7 Pro from FlexiSpot anymore, even though I am currently sitting on one of FlexiSpot's BS12 Pro multifunctional, adjustable, upgraded fabric ergonomic chairs. My butt and computer have never been happier than when using one of FlexiSpot's products. So get over to their page right now for big savings.